Unit 2, page 13. Read. Exercise 2. Read and listen to the text.
Action Woman. Young Kira Salak is an explorer with a mission. She wants to find the undiscovered corners of our planet. A difficult task, you might think, in the age of GPS technology and Google Maps. However, according to Kira, there are still plenty of new places to visit and new adventures to experience. What is more, Kira prefers to travel alone, unlike the famous explorers of the past who would set off with an enormous team of helpers. But what makes a young woman leave her studies and family at the age of 19 to go on dangerous journeys across scorching deserts, through dense jungles and along fast-flowing rivers? Kira explains that as a teenager, she used to suffer from low self-esteem. She thought solo adventure trips would help her to discover what she could do. She was right. For her first adventure, Kira decided to go backpacking across southern Africa. In spite of the hardships of the journey, the trip had been going well until she went to Mozambique. This was a country that was in the middle of a civil war. She was travelling near the border with Zimbabwe when she was kidnapped by soldiers from Mozambique and taken to their base. Despite the frightening situation, Kira kept calm and asked if she could go to the toilet. It was her opportunity to escape, and she fled into the night, running all the way back to the Zimbabwean border and safety. After such an experience, most people would be put off exploring for life. Kira, however, had learned a valuable lesson about herself. She was braver and stronger than she had realized. With her new self-confidence, she planned more trips. She wanted to visit somewhere that very few travelers had been to. The destination she chose was Papua New Guinea. This was considered one of the most difficult islands in the world to cross because of its thick jungle and difficult waterways. That didn't stop Kira. She cut through the jungle and canoed her way across the island to become one of the few visitors to complete the journey and the first foreign woman to do it. These days, Kira's family and friends are used to her going off on long expeditions. Since her trip to Papua New Guinea, she has travelled across Alaska, Bhutan, the Congo, Mali, Peru, Mexico, and the Himalayas. She is always searching for hidden, unexplored corners to tell people about. Kira has recorded her travel experiences in newspaper and magazine articles and a number of novels. In fact, as well as being a respected adventurer, she is also considered an accomplished travel writer, and she has been presented with various awards for her writing. To most of us, it all sounds incredible. But Kira says that travelling shows us that no culture is better or worse than another. She also adds that the majority of people on the planet want the same things: peace, happiness, and a good life for their children.
Unit 2, page 15. Exploit. Exercise 2. Listen and check.
What did you do when you heard the alarm?
I went upstairs and I saw that the crew were helping all the other passengers to get into the lifeboats.
What was it like on the lifeboat?
Oh, it was freezing and very wet. Unfortunately, I'd left my waterproof clothing on my bed.
How long were you in the lifeboat for?
We abandoned the ship at 1 a.m. and we'd been sitting in the lifeboat for about 3 hours when we saw a distant light. It was the rescue ship. However, it took another 3 hours for the ship to reach us.
And where did it take you?
We spent a few nights at a research station on an Antarctic island before we flew to Chile and then home. I was really pleased to get home.
Unit 2, page 16. Listen. Exercises 1 and 2. Listen to a talk about a famous expedition.
With me tonight is George Davis, writer of a book about the explorer Ahmed Hassanein. Now, George, who exactly was Ahmed Hassanein?
Ahmed Hassanein was an Egyptian politician, but he became famous because of his exploration of the Sahara Desert.
What was he looking for in the Sahara Desert?
Water. Hassanein's objective was to make the first accurate map of the Eastern Sahara and show travellers how to find nature's most precious resource. He also wanted to open new routes between Egypt's Mediterranean coast and the Sudan.
So when and where did he start his expedition?
It started in December 1922 at As-Salum, on the southern shore of the Mediterranean. From there he headed southwest to the ancient town of Siwa.
Was Siwa easy to find?
Yes, the route from As-Salum to Siwa was quite well known. The difficulties started in the sand dunes of Libya.
Where did he go in Libya?
He went to the oasis at Kufra. In fact, Hassanein was the first to fix Kufra's position correctly on a map. It was here that Hassanein really started to use a compass and develop his map-making skills.
He then went back into Egypt, didn't he?
Yes, from Kufra he returned to Egypt and headed towards the Great Sand Sea.
The Great Sand Sea. Just the name sounds frightening.
Yes, it's an area in the Sahara which is almost impossible to cross because there are frequent sandstorms. However, Hassanein's exploring skills led him to a mountain range where he found two forgotten oases, Arkanu and Uinat, a discovery that was of great importance.
But for Hassanein, that wasn't the most important discovery, was it?
No, for Hassanein, the greatest find was some rock engravings of animals at the second oasis, Uinat. The engravings demonstrated that people had lived there over 10,000 years before.
And from Arkanu and Uinat, he continued his journey to the Sudan.
That's right. After 8 months in the scorching desert, he finally arrived in El Obeid, a trading city in Sudan.
You say in your book that the expedition turned him into a celebrity.
Yes, it made him internationally famous thanks to widespread newspaper coverage and the publication of his own account of the journey in the National Geographic magazine. Naturally, back home in Cairo, he was a hero.
A fascinating story. Now, next in the programme...
Unit 2, page 19. Language skills. Exercise 1. Listen and check.
Hi, Alex. I thought you were going climbing in Wales this weekend.
I was supposed to, but I had a problem. I thought someone on the train had stolen my backpack with all my equipment.
What do you mean, you thought someone had stolen it?
Well, I was half asleep on the train and didn't notice anything strange. But as soon as we arrived at the station in Wales, I realised my bag had gone.
Oh, what did you do?
Well, after getting off the train, I decided I couldn't go with the others. It was raining and I didn't have any waterproofs. Not a very good start. My tent was also with my backpack and I didn't want to sleep in the rain. So I took the next train back to Manchester.
So someone really had stolen your bag?
No, they hadn't. The train was full of climbers, and some had got off before us. While I was sleeping, one of them took my bag because he thought it belonged to somebody in his group.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Oh, me too. But at least I didn't lose my backpack. I collected it from the station this morning.
Everyday English 2. Teacher's Book. Page 104. Sympathizing with someone. Exercise 1. Read and listen to the dialogue.
Did you do anything exciting this weekend?
Well, on Saturday we went to the safari park, but it was a complete disaster.
Why? What happened?
Well, the first problem was actually getting in. There was an enormous queue, and we had to wait for over an hour before we got to the gate.
How awful.
Then, our car got stuck in some sand when we tried to take a shortcut.
The park warden had to call the rescue service to pull us out.
What a nightmare.
Yes, it was. The worst thing was that they charged us £250 to get our car back on the road.
What bad luck.
Everyday English 2. Teacher's Book, page 104. Sympathizing with someone. Exercise 4. Listen and repeat.
How annoying. How awful. What a disaster. How dreadful. How gross. How irritating. What luck. What a nightmare. What a pain. What a pity. What a shame.
Everyday English 2. Teacher's Book, page 104. Sympathizing with someone. Exercises 5 and 6. Listen to 2 dialogues. Dialogue 1.
Hi, Rashid. Did you have a good weekend?
No, I didn't. It was awful.
Why? What went wrong?
I went camping with my family. It was a complete nightmare.
What happened?
Well, the first problem was getting to the campsite. We got lost on the way, so it was really late when we arrived.
Oh, how annoying.
Yes, and it was so dark that we couldn't see to put up the tent.
So what did you do?
We spent the night in the car.
Oh, how uncomfortable.
Yes, it was. I didn't sleep at all. Then the next morning it was raining, but we put up the tent anyway and spent the rest of the day inside. It was pretty windy too, and during the night our tent fell down, so we had to come home.
Oh, what a disaster.
Absolutely. That's the last time I'm going camping, I can tell you.
Dialogue 2.
Hey, Emma, how was your sister's wedding?
Not so good, I'm afraid.
Why? What happened?
It was chaos, actually. They cancelled our flight to Edinburgh, so we had to get the train instead.
How irritating. Did you get there in time for the wedding?
We arrived half an hour before the ceremony, but that wasn't the problem.
Oh? What went wrong?
Well, I was in such a hurry to get off the train that I left my dress behind. You know, the one I was going to wear to the wedding.
What a pain.
Yes, it was, because I didn't have anything else with me. So I had to rush into the nearest shop and buy another dress. It was really frustrating.
But did you enjoy the actual wedding?
Not really. I was too stressed to pay much attention during the ceremony, and then I was violently ill after the reception because of something I'd eaten.
How unfortunate.
Yes, I felt really bad.
Literature Corner 1. Page 20. Exercise 2. Read and listen. Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. I was woken by the full moon shining in on me as I had forgotten to draw my curtains. Suddenly, a wild, terrible cry broke the silence, echoing throughout the house. My heart missed a beat. What could it mean? It came from the top floor. Then I heard the sounds of a desperate struggle just above my room. Help! 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 Won't anyone help me? Rochester! Rochester, for God's sake, come! Shouted a voice from upstairs. Bedroom doors were opened as the guests woke up. What's happening? Fetch a candle! Is it a fire? Are there burglars? Where's Rochester? He isn't in his room.
Here I am,
called the master of the house, descending with a candle from the top floor.
It's all right. Don't be afraid, ladies. A servant's had a bad dream, that's all, and started screaming. Nothing to worry about. Please, go back to your rooms. You'll catch cold otherwise.
And so he calmed his guests and persuaded them to return to their rooms. But I knew the sounds I had heard could have nothing to do with the servant's dream. So I dressed and waited in my room in case I was needed. After about an hour, when Thornfield Hall was completely silent again, there was a cautious knock on my door.
Are you awake, Jane?
Asked the voice I had been expecting. Yes, sir, and dressed.
Good. I need you. Come and help me. Bring a clean cloth with you.
We went quietly up to the top floor, where he unlocked one of the small black doors.
Do you feel faint at the sight of blood?
He asked. I don't think so, I replied. We entered a room with curtains hung on the walls. One of the curtains was tied back to reveal a secret door into another small room. From there came an angry, growling sound, almost like a dog. Skills Roundup 1 to 2. Page 21. Listen. Exercises 2 and 3. Listen and choose the correct answers.
Tonight in Famous Adventurers, we're going to hear about Scottish sailor Alexander Selkirk. His experiences in the 18th century became the basis for one of the most famous books in the English language, Robinson Crusoe, by Daniel Defoe. Crusoe is a sailor who spends 28 years alone on an island until his rescue. But how close is the novel to the real story? In the studio to answer that question, I've got historian Sue Cleveland.
Good evening. Well, there are some similarities, but not many. To begin with, Selkirk spent only 4 years on his Pacific island, Massachusetts.
That's still a long time. Why was Selkirk in the Pacific Ocean?
Well, at the age of 19, Selkirk decided to join a buccaneer expedition to the Pacific Ocean. Buccaneers were pirates that attacked Spanish and French ships. Selkirk had been on one of these ships, Cinque Ports, for some time when he complained about the condition of the ship. The captain got tired of Selkirk's complaints and left him on Massachusetts Island.
I imagine he wasn't very happy about that.
Well, he was actually. He thought that Cinque Ports was dangerous, and he was right. The ship sank soon afterwards. He also believed another ship would come and rescue him soon.
And did any other ships visit the island?
Yes, but they were Spanish ships, and Selkirk was a Scottish pirate, an enemy, so he had to hide.
So what was island life like?
At the beginning, he lived by the sea because he was frightened to travel into the island. He heard strange noises that he thought came from wild animals. However, he soon went inland to look for food and because of the Spanish visitors.
And what did he find?
Instead of dangerous animals, he found goats. A useful discovery because they provided him with milk and meat, and he made new clothes with their skins.
But did he have any adventures?
No, not really. He used to spend his time looking after his goats and looking out for ships.
And finally he saw one.
Yes, it was a British pirate ship that was captained by a friend of his. In fact, Selkirk soon became captain of his own ship, and he became quite rich.
Did he ever return to Scotland?
Yes, his family thought he was dead, so they were very surprised when a well-dressed sea captain appeared in their house. He also told his story to a journalist, and it seems that Daniel Defoe thought it would make a good novel.
And he was right. Thank you, Sue, for telling us about the real Robinson Crusoe, Alexander Selkirk. Now, next on the programme...